Hello everybody and welcome to the Intel Extreme Masters America Qualifier for IEM Toronto. Today here on August the 3rd, Sunday the 3rd of August I wanted to say. I'm of course Kevin on the call, also known as Rotterdam, but you guys can call me Roddy because we like to roll like that, like to keep it close, personal, simple, and all the good things in life. With me is Nathanius once more, and we are getting ready for a long but hopefully very fun day of StarCraft. And at the end of the day, we are going to qualify 3 North Americans for the Intel Extreme Masters in Toronto.
That's right. We've got quite a few players. This is stage 2 of the qualifier. So a bunch of these guys came in, qualified for seeds into the second stage from other qualifiers, which were broadcast, I believe, by Base Trade TV. So these guys have already filtered out a lot of the, maybe not some of the more successful North American players. So we have very high-level players for the rest of this bracket. And it's pretty cool. 16 players duking it out. We have a pretty Terran-heavy lineup as well.
Yeah, it's not too bad though, Nate. It's actually pretty even racial distribution. It's definitely Terran is the most represented race, as we have 6 Terrans, 4 Protoss, and 4 Zergs. So I'd like to say there is something for everybody. And let's just go ahead and take a look at our pretty interesting, awesome bracket of today. Nate, let's just take it from the top. Polt versus EJK. What do you think?
That's a tough match for EJK. That's a tough match for everybody on Polt's side of the bracket. Xenocider versus Illusion as to determine who goes up to play potentially against Polt next is also a really rough match. Polt's just been playing very well in the last few months. He's just kind of always consistently good.
Is that 4 Terrans on the top side of the bracket?
Yeah. It's a TVT fest, man.
TVT party up in here. Of course, if we go down a little bit, we see Hawk versus Intense. That actually has potential to be a very interesting match. As Intense, even though he's a little whiny, I like to give him a hard time for that. He's also a very good player. So that won't be an easy one for Hawk, but needless to say, Chris is the favorite. Then we have our first match of the day, the match that we decided to roll with in round 1. Because I think this is a super awesome one. Perhaps the best North American Terran, or at least original North American Terran MajOr, going up against one of the strongest Zerg players we have, Suppy. 2 guys that we've been casting quite a bit lately, Nate, in multiple qualifiers, whether it's IEM, WCS, or Red Bull.
Yep, MajOr's been on a bit of a tear, doing quite well for himself in tournaments like Nation Wars. Then Scarlet versus Select, I think, a pretty interesting match. Scarlet, of course, she's always been good. She's been playing very well recently, but trying to get a little bit further. She actually managed to get back into Premier League for WCS, and this is kind of the few months where she needs to pick it up a notch if she wants to get quite far. Or at least, I guess she almost needs to win this tournament if she wants to get into BlizzCon.
Yes, she definitely needs to qualify for IEM so you can get a couple of points, and above all, she needs a successful run in WCS America Season 3, which she is capable of. We all know that she is. We have Bills versus Puck. That should be a very fun PvP. You know, Nate, if it was just me casting for the rest of the world, I'd probably go with Bills versus Puck, but I didn't want to do that to our viewers. Even though I'm very interested to see how that one plays out. Puck is the favorite on paper. But I do really like Bills. I think he's an underrated North American Protoss, and he has the potential to perhaps make a little bit of a run for himself in this qualifier. We see QXE versus ZvT. It's really fun because a super long time ago, in an Alienware tournament with North Americans only, a region lock, I actually casted QXE versus ZvT, and that was the first game I ever casted of ZvT. And back then, Nate, he went for a Void Ray Contain, Void Ray Harass on QXE on Antigua Shipyard, and he managed to pull it off. It was just one of those games where I was like, I have never seen this in my life, and he pulled it off. He made it work. Void Ray Contain / Harass. They were basically doing what Oracles do in this day and age, but then they were Void Rays. They were just hovering around the base.
He still does some crazy stuff.
Yep.
I've seen ZvT play Phoenix Colossus as well. QXC's gonna have to be careful. And then the final match in the bottom of the bracket will be Fog versus Violet. Violet, I'd say an overwhelming favorite, but you know, Fog is a pretty good North American Zerg player.
Yeah, Fog also one of those guys that we know is very good, but is still waiting for that one memorable run, that one run where everybody on Team Liquid and Reddit will always talk about, hey, do you remember Fog in this one tournament? He actually did very well for himself. Right now, he's considered this strong North American ladder player and also in custom games, a couple of show matches here and there. We know that he's good, but it's about time that he shows to the rest of the world what he's truly made of. And a ZvT upset against Violet, well, that would be memorable, Nate. That would be something that I will bring up in the next cast.
That would certainly be memorable. Looks like we're getting the first series set up. Just now getting into the lobby, of course. So as we told you guys, the first match that we're going to be covering is a Terran versus Zerg, MajOr versus Suppy Mexico versus the United States.
Yep, that's going to be awesome. We are excited for it. Hopefully you guys are excited for it as well. And if you are, let us know. Hashtag IEM, and make sure to give us a follow at twitter.com/IEM. Or if you're one of those guys who said, I really don't like Twitter, I do not understand it, then I'm sure that you have a Facebook account, and then you can always like IEM at facebook.com/IEM. It's really cool to see as well, Nate, to see the growth of those social pages. Because I remember when I used to work for ESL in Europe in 2011, they had like 5,000-6,000 likes on IEM at Facebook. I think right now it's easily over 100,000. I think I remember the post where they went over 100K. So that's of course super awesome, and IEM deserves it. It's one of the longest running consistent esports leagues in the world. Perhaps even the longest, at least on the level which they're performing at. You know,
Yeah.
we're currently in season 8 or 9 already, I believe. Is this
It's
9?
9. It's 9. Season
Oh
9.
my god, the time flies when you're having fun. Season 9 of IEM.
Pretty crazy how long things been going. Of course, there's other cool stuff. We've got a shop you can check out for all your ESL-related gear and whatnot, paraphernalia, what have you. Check it out at shop.eslgaming.com. They have shirts and hoodies and all sorts of stuff there. Good times.
Yeah, shirts are beautiful.
New shirts are always nice.
Pick up your 6-post shirt if they still have it. Or your 4-gate one. I like to be old school.
Well, the 4-gate, man. If you still make a 4-gate work in today's economy.
Well, with the current meta and all the greedy builds that are out there, it's like, I scout 1 gateway in the gas, will probably be Nexus fast expand. Where did the Protoss units come from?
Suddenly the 4-gate's going to become a thing again?
I don't think it's become a thing again, but I think it's worth to bust out every once in a while. Especially against Zerg, you know, with their gasless openings, their greedy builds.
Well, with Maximus Black back on the ladder, anything is possible.
Hell yeah, we see 3 gates, 10-gate 3-gate is back in action as well. Oh, I have a little bit of a cold, so there's a good chance that I will sneeze a couple of times. I'm going to try to mute myself in time, but if I don't, well, then you guys will have the joy of listening to me sneeze. And then the next guy who has to wear this microphone has to be very careful.
Just scoot a little bit further away here.
All right, it seems like Suppy is ready, just making sure MajOr is ready. Go. And then we can already fire up our first series of the day. This should be a very fun one. Suppy's ready, MajOr's ready. Let's just go ahead and open things up with a ZvT. Of course, we're going to try to give you guys as many updates as possible about all the other matches that are going on at the same time. There's something worth mentioning, we will let the people know. And overall, Nate, I'm really excited. I think one thing, yeah, we did mention it on top of the show, but once again, guys, we are qualifying 3 players today. So that means if you win your first 2 best of 3s, then you're almost there, and you're halfway there, and you just need to win 1 more. Because if you make it to the final of the winner bracket, you're guaranteed of a top 3 finish, which means that you guarantee yourself of qualifying for the Intel Extreme Masters main event. And that's of course super duper awesome on its own, because making it to IEM is guaranteed WCS points, is guaranteed prize money, and above all, you know, you're gonna be at Toronto. Toronto's awesome. One of my favorite cities in the world.
Get to chill in Toronto, like you said. So it's kind of interesting because the way that it works out like that, as since both winner bracket finalists get to advance on to IEM Toronto, that means that there's actually no losers bracket final. So whoever makes it to the losers bracket final gets the final spot out. But we are just about ready to kick off our first series here. We're loaded in. It's going to be played out on Nimbus between MajOr and Suppy.
Yep, we are live. Unfortunately, guys, I have the wrong overlay selected. I seem to be a pretty pro in doing this, but it doesn't really matter. So we're just going to cast this first game like it's 2011. And with these 2 guys, Nate, well, Suppy may be a little more 2012 than 2011, but both of them have been around for so long that I can almost dig it. And we just pretend that Antigua Shipyard is Delta Quadrant because there's the same tile set. And then we're good to go. Now we're just waiting for the siege tank drops that are shooting at the 3rd base, and then we're truly back in 2011.
Oh man, them marine tank pushes on the Zerg 3rd. Those are the old days. Of course, we got MajOr in the top right, representing Root Gaming, wearing red.
No flags. I was hoping for a Mexican flag to pop up. Because today would have been the day to rock all the flags. All these stars and stripes, all the Canadian flags. I would have loved it, Nate, I'm not gonna lie. Over here on the right bottom side of Nimbus, we have our Zerg representing the evil geniuses himself. It is Suppy. I think it's no secret, Nate, that I'm a little bit of a Suppy fan. I enjoy Suppy's playstyle a lot. I'm always blown away by his late game macro potential. However, Suppy sometimes perhaps tries to solve things a little too beautiful. Never really brings out the cheese, never really does what we normally don't want to see, but from Suppy I'd actually like it to see it once. Like, he always tries to stabilize late game, 4 or 5 bases, good creep spread, well upgraded Zerglings, Banelings, Mutalisk. As beautiful as it is, I would love to see Suppy sometimes see him play a little bit more for the result rather than for style points, even though I'm sure that he's always playing for the result, of course. I'm not saying that like, oh, he's not trying to win, because of course Suppy is always trying to win. But I wish that he would be going into series perhaps a little bit more open-minded and a little bit less afraid of not being able to truly show what he's made of, but maybe pick up a victory or two in an easy way.
Yeah, I'd like to see Suppy bust out something like a 1-1 Roche push even.
Yeah.
He's you're right. He likes his standard play quite a bit. What's nice for him is his first second Overlord gets the scout on that natural, so he knows, okay, command center's on the way, and this is a standard timing for a Reaper expand. Not gonna get anything like a second Reaper though.
Yeah, this is unfortunate for MajOr, as the SCV is, or excuse me, the Reaper is making his way across the map, so he's not going to find Suppy over here. Which is good news for Suppy, because that means he doesn't have to worry about this Reaper until his Queens are out, and of course Queens are pretty good against Reapers.
Yep, Queens would be a great defense, so this Reaper should not be able to actually kill anything. And MajOr, just a very standard follow-up, still on 1 gas, going to move up to a couple Marines out with his factory. We'll likely see him play out a very standard game. I'd be surprised if he did anything too crazy. This Reaper doesn't really have an opportunity to do anything crazy itself either.
Now, MajOr has always struck me as the type of Terranate that's completely capable of playing both styles. He can play Bio, he can play Mech multiple times in the past. I've even seen him do 1 Mech, 1 Bio build in a best of 3. Do you think there is a chance that he goes Mech on this map?
I wouldn't be completely blown away, but I would be a little bit surprised. He's going for a slightly late second gas, which he could end up going into Banshees off of. It doesn't necessarily have to be Banshees. It could be a slightly later Stems, could be a fast Viking, Pult style. But MajOr, he kind of steered away from Mech for a very long time in this match. I've actually sniped that Creep Chamber, which is very nice, delaying the initial spread for Suppy. But to answer your question, MajOr has done Mech recently enough that I think there's a chance he might be liking it again. We could see it. I recall a very long game, I think hour and a half, he played versus Snoot in the Nation Wars Grand Finals.
Haha, really?
Yeah, he played a crazy long game.
I was on the road for that tournament, so I actually didn't see it, but I did keep a close eye on the results. And MajOr had a great run there. Didn't he all kill France or Poland? Who did he all kill?
I didn't see that match.
He all killed one of the 2 nations. It was pretty sick.
He did get an all kill.
Yep.
He carried Mexico pretty hard.
I think he alt killed France. Yeah, he did.
Yeah. He carried Mexico really hard in that
Yeah,
tournament.
a couple of the other guys did pretty okay too, though, like Jim Rising and Maker. They had a couple of important victories down the road. Maybe not at the offline finals, but up to that point before, they actually did a very good job for their hometown nation. It was, of course, awesome to see Mexico make the journey to Europe. Because if you think about great StarCraft nations, however, we should talk about this. A lot of Zerglings are swinging on the left side of the map. So far, Suppy is hiding that he's doing this, Nate. He's, of course, going to hope that the walls will still be lowered. And if they are, a crazy amount of Zerglings will stream into the main base. Suppy right now only on 39 drones. But he does have all these Zerglings, and this is the kind of stuff that I would like to see from Suppy. You know, just be a little adventurous. Try to do something, perhaps even slightly out of his comfort zone. He's even throwing down a Baneling now, so even before the layer, 20 more Zerglings are on the way. Here's that first drop though with Widow Mines. This could be very tricky. There's no detection at all.
Oh nice
God.
Widow Mine detonations.
The drones.
No spores,
Oh
and
God.
as you said, a very late layer. Look at this, he's actually bringing all of his Zerglings
no.
back. He's going to try to surround these Hellions, and he should be able to get them, but he reveals his hand, and now MajOr's going to be like, well, I just need to be careful. Well, I'm starting to get the mech vibes too, but he has to get these units out of his base.
Yeah, but I mean, Suppy's expand is that it's safe to say that if Suppy doesn't win the game right here, right now, the depots are raised in the final moment, so 2 more Hellions will fall. But these 2 Hellions are getting a couple of beautiful shots off, and Suppy doesn't even want to try the Baneling boss anymore. He doesn't even want to bother. GG is called. That mind drop of MajOr is, of course, fantastic against the Zerg player that tries to be a little cheeky. And now Suppy is probably like, damn it, for once I tried to do something different. For once I switched it up, I tried to be a little cheesy. Then it backfires like this.
I think if he had his Baneling nest done a bit earlier, he could have actually attacked when all those lings are up there, because he just had them sitting there for a little while. And the mines being able to burrow was really frustrating because You also have to keep in mind that most of Suppy's units were out on the map, so trying to respond to an attack like that quickly enough is very difficult.
And the drones were all being pulled and transferred, so one Widow Mine actually blew up 10 drones.
Yeah, that is also frustrating and difficult to deal with.
I would have loved to see him just run those first Zerglings to the main base already, instead of trying to bring them back. I mean, yes,
I agree.
He did get this around, but this is one of those moments.
You want to get in as soon as you know those Hellions aren't in the Terran base. Like, that is your time to strike. There's not really a timing, because the Terran player is always going to be building units in that early phase, and it's usually going to be Hellions. But you want to run in as soon as you see units out on the map, because that's when MajOr, maybe if he's not able to micro that drop, his mines don't burrow as fast, the Zerglings can kill them. Like, there's so many different ways that can play out, but...
Yeah, and above all, I also think that the moment he would run into the main base already, those Hellions would be forced to return anyway. And then with the reinforcements from Suppy that are still streaming across the map, you're going to have Zerglings behind the Hellions and Zerglings in front of the Hellions. So it's still possible that he gets his surround off. It's still possible that he would have been able to work with something. Either way, MajOr picks up a very quick and easy game number 1 on Nimbus after mines. Not pretty good when your opponent doesn't have any form of detection.
Yeah, I would have liked to either see a faster Baneling Nest or a faster lair. But that was game 1. This guy's going to try to bring it back now for game 2. Of course, he is the American Zerg player representing Evil Geniuses. He is Suppy.
Yay!
It's hard not to like Suppy and that beautiful American flag next to his name.
I'm loving it, guys. Production crew stepping it up. They're like, come on, Roddy, it's Sunday. Do we really have to do the flags? Yes, guys. I want to see flags all day, every day.
I only wish that I could play and get this far in the qualifier, just so I could see an American flag next to my name on screen like that.
I think the Dutch flag would be very beautiful too, Nate. Over here on the right bottom side of the map, King said Young Station, the Mexican Terran player, representing Root for Root. He has a very good shot at making it to Toronto as well. It is, of course, MajOr. That looks cool. That's a cool flag as well. A lot of Mexicans are still a little mad at the Dutch for our World Cup victory over them.
That was a while ago. They still mad?
They still mad. They still mad. Things like this, Nate, you don't really notice about football, but people remember games like that for 8, 12, 16 years. Maybe like 16 is like the magical barrier where you will forget about the game and you're gonna move on, but World Cup victories, man, they're big.
I'll take your word for it. My team hasn't actually reached a championship since 30 years before I was born, so I can't really relate. We have a Reaper opening again from MajOr, which makes, I mean, it's a lot of sense. MajOr likes to open up Reapers, so the last game looked like he was steering himself towards mech. If Suppy wants to try a blind counter to the kind of build like that from MajOr, then you want to rush out a fast lair, you want to get really fast Mutalisks. There are some Zerg players on this map that really like roaches too. We know Violet likes roaches on this map. We know Hyun likes roaches on this map. I had a fun whine about how many roaches get built on this map, actually, in particular.
Whine?
Yeah, well, some Hyun made me sad. Hyun went open roaches in the Gfinity Grand Finals like every game almost.
Was it a public whine or a private whine?
No, I think it was. I think like it wasn't like as much of a whine as it was. Like, you should expect Hyun to do this every single game he plays on this map against Terran. I was rustled in privately, but on Twitter I was just like, how do you not see this build coming? Because every Zerg player almost does it now.
Alrighty, Nate. Well, in the end, he did see it coming. As of course, we had a beautiful morning already with a lot of StarCraft action. G-Infinity was alive, and the games were great. The final result was fantastic. It's really hard to avoid results in StarCraft 2, but if you're that one guy who's like, I haven't seen the finals yet, we're not going to talk about it yet, but it's definitely worth watching. A couple of great games played over the weekend. Yep.
This Reaper's coming in. Of course, he'd like to know whether or not there's speed being researched, if there's any additional gas being mined. Those are all the beautiful questions in life. He saw the extractor, but I don't think he's actually close enough and looking at it fast enough to click it. Okay, he definitely saw the wiggling pool,
yeah, that's
which is very important.
Pretty much all you need to see. Now, Suppy, of course, is going to have to step things up a little bit because, yes, MajOr is a very good opponent and a very tough draw for the first round. But if you want to make it through brackets like this, the MajOr is the type of play that you're going to have to beat. You know, the only tougher opponent that you can probably get is Polt and Scarlet, I guess, because Scarlet, her ZvT is also absolutely phenomenal. But overall for Suppy, you know, Suppy on paper has what it takes to qualify for an IEM. And once he's there, Nate, I can even see him make it out of the group if the opponent somehow fit well to his playstyle. But it's really time that our Conan, you know, has one of those runs, because it's been a long time. And we can't really call Suppy an up-and-comer anymore after you've been on EG for I would almost say 2 years now already, right?
Yeah, he's trying to get some results out there now, and it hasn't been easy for him. MajOr looks like he's actually opening up very similar to the last game. The only difference is he's going straight Hellions.
Yep.
We're not going to see the mines this game, at least not super early. He actually built the 2 mines to use for that drop before his 3rd and 4th Hellion last game. So he cut out a little bit of his early defense against Zerglings to get that attack going.
That was worth mentioning as well, because like 2 mines against the Zerg, you don't really see them open up like that very often. But with this quick drop, everything just worked out so perfect for MajOr. It was pretty much one of the worst builds that Suppy could have faced. Either way, Suppy is going to sacrifice an Overlord in the main base, and he saw everything that mattered. Saw the reactor being added to the factory, above all saw the tech lab spinning as well. So he knows that Cloak is on the way, as we can see in our production tab as well.
Yep. And he's getting a Spore Crawler. Very smart decision, considering what that, what the mines did last game, what the Banshees could potentially do this game.
I feel King Sejong Station is an okay map for Suppy as well. I would have said the same about Nimbus, but you know, he just got a little bit unfortunate. He tried to switch things up, he tried to do what we hoped for, and then it backfired, so we shouldn't criticize him too much for that. But above all, Suppy's macro is very good late game. Now this is a very easy map to just get up to 3 bases. It's very rare that your 3rd base is under a lot of pressure that you can barely hang into. However, the 4th base, that's where things get a little complicated for Zerg. But Suppy in general has no fear taking additional bases, as we do see the Baneling that's going down. And he did rush up to layer once more before Evolution Chambers. It's kind of Suppy's style. He's not really the type of Zerg that likes to get like 1-1 upgrades out before he fires up layer.
No, he's opening up his tech routes much more quickly. Stim is on the way, so we're not going to see mech out of MajOr this game. He's going to build up to a very normal Bioforce, try to use these Hellions and Banshees to apply pressure to the 3rd.
I really like this 1 Spore right now. It helps out so much, makes it so much more complicated for this Banshee to just sit on top of these Queens, and also for the Hellions to go in. There's plenty of transfuse energy available. A couple of Zerglings will try to at least scare the Hellions. You don't really want to take a fight unless you're sure you can win it as a Zerg player. So we see more drones in the production tab. Everything is played out like we expect from 2 players that are evenly matched. No, 5 minerals last forever, Nate. Those 5 minerals will make the change.
Imagine if you lost the game because you didn't have 5 minerals.
Yeah, it's how many times haven't we seen it?
That's true. 1-1 upgrades are coming in though for MajOr, and he's starting to add on actually quite a bit more barracks, moving now up to about 5, I believe. So he's getting all of his production rolling along quite smoothly.
I really like small things like this. MajOr knows that this is the phase in the game where that Overlord will fly into your 3rd and start dropping creep. So he already sent down 1 Marine trying to poke it away. Now he's going to see it immediately. So this is already going to save him some time. Yes, there's a little bit of creep, but this is nowhere near as much as the Overlord could potentially drop. So what normally can slow your command center down for a solid minute is now only going to slow him down for no more than 5 seconds, if that even, maybe 10, 15 seconds, but definitely not the full minute.
Man,
very nice play.
That's a very important read to be able to make, because he doesn't want to have that 3rd command center blocked too long, since this is the phase of the game where Suppy, now that he's starting to saturate that 3rd base, he's going to want to get some lings out on the map. We see the Mutalisks on the production tab, so he's getting ready to move into that full harassment mode as well. These Banshees are doing a nice little bit of harass, grabbing a few drone kills.
Yeah, not all that much though. I think Suppy has so far done a really good job in being on the money with his defense, having Queens in okay positions. Eventually the Banshees did find an opening, but I think if you ask any Zerg player, you know, against 2 Cloak Banshees and all these Hellions, are you okay with losing 5 drones while already being up to 73 and having your Mutalisk on the way? I think they will sign up for it, Nick.
Yeah, the Mutas are going to chase down the Banshees now. I'd love to see him try to split them off, but not necessarily a huge deal, as they've kind of already done what you would expect Banshees to do at this stage of the game. That one actually escapes.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
I mean, of course, we could see the energy count, and Suppy couldn't. However, 1-1 is about to finish up for Suppy. Bailing speed is almost ready, but he doesn't have any creep protecting this base. Now, Hellions start rolling forward. As these Tim Marines are ready as well. This could already be kind of a tricky hold for Suppy. He should be okay, but he could really use Baning speed against his army of MajOr.
Yeah, his Banshee goes up front and gets picked off.
He's gonna have to go for it, Nate.
Yeah, he doesn't have, like, the big thing that you mentioned, he doesn't have Baneling speed. The armory is done now too, so we've got Hellbats, and these Zerglings are gonna die much more quickly. The Banelings stepping forward. There's still a good amount of Marines left though for MajOr. A couple of them held back. Those are the medevacs that need to get on top of healing these bad boys, but he kills the 4th base, that crucial 4th base, which in all honesty, at this stage of the game, is more than you could ask for from a push like that at the 12-minute mark.
It wasn't for free though, because he did end up losing most of his Marines and his Helvets.
Yeah.
Of course.
If you got the Medivacs and kill the fourth, like Suppy's creep spread is not that scary. But
you're right. The most important thing is Major didn't lose his Medivacs. Those were the most expensive units in that army. Trading away a few Marines, that's pretty much what they're for. And the Helvets and Hellions don't really serve a purpose anymore in that phase in the game. Like, yeah, they're nice, but if you could choose between a few Helvets or a few more Marines, I know what I would go for, Nate.
Yeah, the Hellbat's not really going to deal too well with the Mutalisks, which seemed to be a focus of why Suppy wanted to get his lair as quickly as he did this game. But if he keeps this much pressure on Major, if Major keeps this much pressure on Suppy, then he can't actually bring the Mutalisks to the other side of the map because he needs to be able to pick off Widow Mines and any Medivacs in case he actually wins a fight.
Meter count is currently at 12, but there are 4 more on the way, so 16 Mutalisks. That starts to be a number that Suppy can definitely work with. This is a good scan by Major. He's going to pick off quite a few creep tumors over here. And above all, he's really doing a good job in keeping Suppy on his side of the map. Like you mentioned, not just the Mutalisk, but even the Zerglings, the Banelings. Nothing has been aggressive so far. Now, Major has a couple of Marines over here on the left side. He will be able to pick off quite a few Overlords while he's losing a few units in the middle of the map. This drop, however, has gone completely uncontested. There are a few Zerglings, but I'm not sure if that's enough Zerglings, especially not when they start entering the fight like this.
Ah, man, these Marines, that's a horrible choke point for Suppy to have to fight in against Major. And Major's got his 4th command center on the way, another force moving out on the right side. This is still really tricky. He needs to keep that 4th base alive. 23 Banelings are on the way, but there are still 18 Banelings on the map. Marines get dropped in the main base mineral line, stimmed almost to death, but they're going to pick off a Mutalisk or 2, which makes that trade worth it. Widow Mines, Burrow. No detonations, all of them have been destroyed. Okay. So nice defense so far by Suppy on that.
Yeah, very nice. Like in the end, yes, he lost a couple of drones in the main base. He lost 5 drones before, so I guess grand total of 11 drones have gone down in this phase in the game. However, the 4th command center for Major is not super early. It's not like he's up and running already. He's not mining from it yet. And 2-2 upgrades are about to finish up for Suppy. And I feel this is the phase in the game, Nate, where Suppy is starting to excel. Major, of course, has fantastic multitasking, but the same can be said for Suppy. All these Medivacs are a little bit out of position, which means like, yeah, maybe this hatch is going to fall, but he could definitely use them at home as so many Banelings are starting to roll in.
Yeah, he's moving forward onto that natural. Widowmine's not able to detonate. If he can get on the production, he could just shut Major down here. Suppy is behind on supply. He needs to make this push, do a cataclysmic amount of damage as he loses his 4th base. Yet again, more Zerglings in the production at the wall. Not raised means the Banelings can get in. He can target add-ons. The Mutalisks have spread themselves in the main base of Major, and I'm afraid the Mexican Terran player doesn't have any way to get this Zerg player off of his back.
Nope, just not enough Marines out on the map. He has 13 Marines, most of them are even on the other side of the map. He's building 11 at a time, but like you said, they will spawn one by one and they're going to die one by one. The Widow Mines are going to fall as well. I am not sure if Major will ever be able to stabilize from this position. It would be a miraculous hold. I don't even think it's possible. More Zerglings streaming in as well. He did kill the 4th base during all this, so that is something, but well, actually, he might just be able to hang in there, Nate. Marines are popping out. SCVs are helping out against the Zerglings.
Yeah, but the problem is he's already actually lost barracks. His production has been crippled, to say the least.
And he has no more wall.
Yeah, there are still a couple Zerglings poking around, but his natural's not really mining. And more Zerglings could try to flood across the map. I wouldn't be surprised to see more Banelings morphed in. There are a lot of Banelings coming in on the production tab now. Major, you know, if he could recover from this would actually be like a sick comeback.
Yep,
I'd say
he really needs like a bunker or 2. Army supply is 79 against 61. Now that is a number that I think could still work with, but I can't afford to lose any free units like this. The Mutaflock is still at 21. That's a lot of Mutalisk.
Yep, and there's still a ton of Banelings and Zerglings moving across the map with this force. Widowmine's gonna burrow, but it's not gonna be able to hit anything worth. Yep, no, this is just too much. I think Suppy's got this in the bag. Marauders are gonna try to hold the ramp, but there's enough Banelings to kill the Marauders and then some, and as long as these Mutalisks are alive, it doesn't matter how many Zerglings or Banelings you kill. GG, Suppy takes game number 2, ties the series up 1 apiece, and that was actually a really good job by Suppy to recognize an opportunity where Major, as much as we could laud Major's pressure, trying to hold the creep back, killing the 4th base, doing all those drops, he left a window open for Suppy to make that big push work. And sometimes as a Terran player, you get into like this small little bit of tunnel vision where you focus on your production of Marines and occasionally Medivacs. Medivac count was okay. He had about 8 Medivacs out on the map. He had a good amount of Marines, but he didn't have a lot of Widow Mines, and that's where that mass Baneling push comes in.
And yeah, he also had 4 medevacs on the right top side of the map.
That's true
During
as well.
the moment. I really like that kind of call. This was a little bit of a YOLO call by Suppy, something that we said he actually didn't do a lot in the past.
I mean, it could have gone against him very quickly. You're right. Yeah.
No, if everything is at home for Major, so that drop on the left side of the map is at home, or actually he did get picked off, but if he has those bio units on the right top side, he has those 4 Widow Mines or those 4 medevacs, and he's slightly more prepared, maybe 1 additional bunker. I think it backfires. I think Major is going to hold, and then it's 4 base against 4 base, but Suppy has been producing nothing but Zerglings and Banelings. No sign of his infestation pit whatsoever. So to call it an all-in is maybe unfair, but it was an attack that had to deal damage, otherwise it would just be game over.
Yeah, I completely agree. If you use that many Banelings, that many Mutalisks, if you lose all of that, you're pretty much dead. But I think when he pushed into Major's base, there were maybe 2 or 3 burrowed mines.
Yeah.
And also, initially, the Mutalisks weren't there to snipe the mines, so just a couple of Zerglings ran ahead while all the Banelings were right next to the Widow Mines. And if Major had target fired away from the 2 Lings that baited out those mine shots, which, I mean, is very difficult to do, of course, it still would have had a huge impact and could potentially have helped him hold that push.
Our final map of the first series of the day is going to be played on Merry-Go-Round for our little TVZ. We also have one update already from one of the other games. It's not a fun update, but it's one that I still feel like I have to mention. As QXC did not show up today, or at least did not show up in time, he will still have a little bit of time in the loser bracket to show up. But QXC, so far he's not here, so that means that ZvT has received a walkover win in round 1. And I believe the winner of that series goes up against...
ZvT will play the winner between Violet and Fog.
Oh, okay. All the way on the south side of the bracket it was. So ZvT can prepare himself for a PVZ. Of course, ZvT is... I won't say he's Canadian, but... Is he Canadian?
He is Canadian.
Is he Canadian?
Yeah. I don't know if he's originally from Canada.
He's an Asian Canadian.
He is. He's like Hendrilisk.
Yes. Exactly. Literally like Hendrilisk.
I don't know if he's literally like Hendrilisk.
But then he plays Protoss.
He's like, he looks the same. It's like he walks like Hendrilisk, he talks like Hendrilisk, but he doesn't play Zerg.
And they're both very friendly guys as well. It was really funny. The last time I was having an intense ladder session, which is like, you know, solid 2 months ago or something, I ran into ZvT. And he's like, oh, Roddy, good luck. I was like, good luck. He's like, be scared, man. My PvP is really good. I'm 17-1 in my last 18 games. I was like, well, 17-2 now. He's like, ooh, we'll see. Well, Nate, he wasn't ready. He was not ready.
Hashtag Roddy build.
He was not ready. He actually said that. He's like, wow, Roddy build too strong. Obviously, I got lucky, guys. ZvT is a way better player.
Last time I played him, I died to Phoenix Colossus. I'm not so good versus that style.
Suppy over here is, of course, a Zerg player on the right top side of Merry-Go-Round, representing the Evil Geniuses and the Stars and Stripes. Damn, loving it. And over here at the 6 o'clock position of the map, we have Root for Root Juanito, also known as Major, Windy, and a Prosser, Quantic Flow, and plenty of other nicknames out there.
Princess.
Princess.
There's plenty of nicknames for Major.
I think he had like a nickname of like a Russian ballerina as well for a while. He had a big crush on her.
It's like, it's like, you know, when you really like a girl, if you're a girl, if you see someone with your name on ladder, you're like, that's my name. That's how you know they really like you. It's like you're looking Grandmaster, and then you see like I see Nathan F, and I'm like, hey, that's not my account, but someone out there must really like me.
This is like the way of StarCraft 2 players telling a girl that they like her. It's like, well, I don't really have a whole lot of game.
My Protoss account used to be named Anna Kendrick. I know she was checking the account out all the time.
Who?
Anna Kendrick, man.
Oh, the only Kendrick I know is a rapper.
I'm disappointed.
Kendrick Lamar. He's a badass.
He is.
He's a little too badass for me.
He is. He's no Anna Kendrick. So this game, it's going to be another Reaper opening from Major into Reactor, which just makes sense. I think Major is basically just, he's one of those guys that finds a build he likes and kind of sticks to it. Doesn't change it up too much, at least based on opponents. I would assume he would change up more. But against Suppy, you know, if there's one thing that one trend I think fits Suppy very well is he is not a roacher. Suppy just he doesn't roach.
Nope, he loves his Zerglings, he loves his Banelings, and above all, he just loves to macro like crazy of 4 bases or more. Like I said before, that's kind of the phase in the game where he excels. And, you know, he didn't really show it to us last game, but he did strike with a very good attack. So in the end, that is all that matters. But Suppy is very fast, and so is Major though. Like, I would say mechanically wise, these are two of the best players in North America. Like, I would love to see them duke it out in a 35-40 minute macro fest, because you know there will be action all over the place. We kind of needed an overgrowth or something like that, or just Nimbus to actually drag on. I could even say maybe on Deathwing they could have a pretty epic game. But still, even if it's not going to happen now, there is still a chance they will run into each other later today in the loser bracket. Now, of course, I don't hope it for either of them, because that means that both of them will lose. And they're both very near and dear to my heart. But they're up there. I wouldn't say overwhelming favorites, but I would be a little bit shocked, Nate, if neither of these two guys qualifies for Toronto. Like, that would be a small upset for me.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, as both players are just kind of setting themselves up with the 3 command center opening and not really a crazy amount of lings for Suppy, who you like in this little sector of the bracket? Because it's MajOr versus Suppy, and they play versus the winner between, was it, they go right against the winner, I think it was...
The third series of the
yeah,
day.
the third series, right? Like, it's like Scarlet's there, Puck, and
Wasn't
Bills.
it Huck?
Huck, yeah, oh yeah, okay. Huck plays against Intense, right?
Yes.
So between Huck, MajOr, and Suppy, I'm curious who can stop Polt, because as much as I like Illusion, Xenocider, and EJK, I don't think any of them are going to stop Polt.
It's hard. I mean, and Suppy has showed us already Bailing Nest going down, by the way, Nate, relatively early. That's a Bailing Nest before a layer. So far, this build is shaping up a little identical to how Nimbus was shaping up. Zergling's speed is ready. Zerglings are already secretly making their way across the map. Again, it's the 38 drone mark. So Suppy is going to try to bust out the same build twice in one series, and it's a cheesy opening. And this is shocking for so many ways, because normally Suppy does not cheese a whole lot. So to see him do it twice, and again, this time it's again going to be Widow Mines for MajOr. He has scouted it, and perhaps he somehow just feels something is up. He's going to find a couple of Zerglings on the right side of the map. He could potentially figure out, like, hey, something might be going on over here. He drops 2 engineering base though, Nate. He drops both E-base before Rex number 2 and 3.
Yeah, but he's starting to wall off too, and I think just Banelings aren't going to cut it. He needs to bring these, like, without the Zergling support, a Baneling push like this is simply not going to accomplish what he's looking for. As we can see, the Banelings are coming home. There are a lot more Speedlings on the way. If he surrounds and kills these Hellions, then I think he could actually win the game with a counterattack.
With 40 Speedlings, I kind of like to believe a couple of Marines are somehow in the middle of the map. That's actually going to help MajOr,
I
because
think MajOr's caught wind of this. Look at where his Widow Mines are, by the way, at the bottom of his natural area.
Oh my god, oh god.
There's some big play potential here. Zergling's coming up. The Reaper's in as well. And the Widow Mine's going to kill a good chunk of the Banelings. And a couple more Lings get killed. The Banelings, however, are making their way to the ramp. They should be able to bust this wall down quite easily. And they do, but the Hellions are still here. More Banelings are on the way, but there's just not enough support to finish him off. He can repair the wall and just turtle up.
These Widow Mines were an absolutely fantastic decision for MajOr. Suppy's going to be forced to fire up 22 more Lings, because he knows that most of these Hellions are still alive as well. Phenomenal control there by MajOr, phenomenal setup of the defense, and he made it look easy. He just somehow smelled it in the air, saw the Zerglings as well on the right top side of the map, and he already fired up the Widow Mines before that. What a great call.
Yeah, really solid defense by MajOr.
I really wonder what triggered that call for MajOr.
I think this map, he caught on to the speed play as Suppy, but I think he saw a few of the Lings running to the right side. I'm not
only
sure.
the later ones. Like, he didn't.
Yeah,
see
well, even those later ones can be like, why are you sending Zerglings around the side like this? I don't know. He's played pretty greedily.
Suppy.
He's played greedily enough that I can see why you would want to be overly defensive. But good Widow Mine shots. Taking this third base is a bit adventurous, but as long as these Hellions don't die, if he can keep microing around.
He might lose them. A couple of them will get surrounded. I think Suppy's going to be able to clean this up, but the Marine count should already be alright by now. He has 16. Of course, Banelings do not have speed and will not have speed for the longest amount of time. There is Stim, so I think MajOr is going to be more than okay with taking this base, securing it for now. He's only down 6 workers. Of course, he has triple orbital command. I'm really worried for our EG Zerg, Nate. Like, these Widow Mines have done some serious work. 8 kills and 14 kills.
Yeah, these Widow Mines have been MVPs of this game for MajOr, who's got his armory on the way. He's going to be looking to kick up his 2-2 upgrades. Could have even started them faster if this armory was built sooner. So you can just kind of get the impression these has a very big lead as far as the tech and upgrades go, because there's no Spire done yet. It's only halfway complete. Like, Mutalisks are so far off that the Medivacs are a really serious threat.
Oh my god, I like to believe, Nate, but with only 2 Zerglings and a couple of Banings, he's gonna fire up more Zerglings. Like, if Suppy will somehow have a little bit of time, but he's supply blocked on a very, very, very unfortunate moment, because he could be firing up way more Zerglings by now. There's still these 2 Widowmines as well. We're gonna keep a close eye on them, because so far they have been the real MVPs. However, Creep is at least going to scare Major. We also have a small update for you guys, as Violet has just defeated Fog 2-0 on the south side of this bracket. So Violet will go up against ZvT. Good news for Violet and all the Violet fans out there.
Yeah, Violet, I think I kind of expected to move very far in this bracket. But the mutas aren't out yet. Double medevac chop hitting the main base. There are Zerglings prepared to receive this, but it's going to pull some of the forces aside. So while Major stims and uses his upgrade advantage to actually wreck a lot of these links, he's going to move in and cancel the 4th base. There's no way that Suppy can hold on to this hatchery, and this is very frustrating. He kills it, no cancel.
Yep, no cancel either. Marines being dropped behind the middle line as well. There are a couple of Banings to eventually deal with this. I want to say we have a handful of mutas, but not even that. We have 1 mutalisk. There are 8 more on the way though, but losing that 4th base, and above all losing it so easily. Major really utilizing the way that this map has been designed as well to the Terran's strengths. Just playing a phenomenal game so far, Nate. He's pretty much doing everything right. And Suppy, you know, he's trying to hang in there. There's a lot on the line. Everybody wants to make it to IEM Toronto, which I seriously believe is going to be one of the most kick-ass events of the year. And I would love to go to the event so badly, because, you know, all the previous events in Toronto in the past, in NESL Season 3 and of course the Season 3 finals of WCS last year, 2 of my favorite all-time StarCraft 2 events, Nate. And I've been to a couple here and there, but man, Toronto, the audience there is just absolutely phenomenal. I think this IEM is going to be great, so these players will probably going to give it all they have in every single game, because everybody would love to experience something like that. But I'm afraid there's just too much Terran, even though the Baneling count is actually relatively high over here, Nate.
Yep, and he's got a couple of okay connections, and even though he's fighting off of creeps up, he's just looking to overwhelm this Terran force. However, Major's production still looks solid. All he needs to do is hold this counter push coming in from Suppy. There's not a lot of Banelings left over, so the Marines here are going to have a good time. Widowmines actually run forward headlong into those Banelings.
He headbutted the Widowmine. That's where you know you're in a good position, as GG is called, and Major will win the first best of three of the day that showed on the mainstream here. Solid performance by him. Suppy, 2 games, Nate. 2 games he tried to do something a little bit out of the ordinary, tried to catch Major off guard, but Major, his spider senses were tingling. He felt it was coming, and he put the Widowmines in a fantastic position, and those 2 mines, they got great shots of. I wonder how it would have played out if the Zerglings would have avoided the mines on the left side and the Widowmines would have gone close to the ramp.
I think Suppy wasn't expecting those mines to be there. Like, you just don't expect that early in the game.
I wouldn't expect them to be there.
Majority of Terran players, I think I can safely say, any build that I would do that most Terran players do, you get 6 to 10 Hellions. If you're Pult, you go maybe 12. Then you move your factory off and use it to build a reactor while you get your additional barracks and starports. Rarely do we ever see Terrans opening up with Widow Mines on that reactored factory, but to Major's credit, it paid off in really big dividends for him, because Suppy was not expecting to just walk his Banelings into a Widow Mine blast.
Nope. Either way, good series by Major means Major will move on, as he's waiting for the winner between Hawk and Intense. I'd say, Nate, we're just going to take a very short commercial break, and then we'll try to be back as soon as possible with our second best of 3 of the day. It's going to be a long day of StarCraft. It's actually going to be a long 2 weeks of StarCraft for Nate and me. As Nate, after this, going to be 3 days of WCS action. Of course, tomorrow is the Group of Death. We hope that the Group of Death. Hope that a lot of you guys will tune in. Right after that, Battlegrounds Global will kick off. After that, 3 more days of WCS, and after that, Red Bull Battlegrounds Online. So if you somehow didn't have enough StarCraft yet after the last 2 months, be prepared, as 2 weeks of non-stop StarCraft action is heading your way.
Just endless torrents of StarCraft. We'll see you guys on the other side of the break. You're watching Intel Extreme Masters Toronto America Qualifier.